Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, the 40 fundamentals of the religion, Al-Arba fi Usul Din, by Imam Al-Ghazali, rahmahullah. Wa nafa'ana ba'akum fid darain, amin, amin, amin. I was still reading about stinginess and the love of wealth, and we have reached the subtitle في بيان حد الكفاية والإسراف. And the very last thing we have read is an Imam Al-Ghazali, a commentary by Imam Al-Ghazali on the verses وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَّهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Therefore rely upon the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and know that nothing befalls you except that there is good in it, for truly the planner of creation and all its dimension is more knowledgeable of what is in your welfare. واعلم أنه لا يصيبك إلا ما فيه خيرك وخيرتك فإن مدبر الملك والملكوت أعلم بمصالحك. The next subtitle, the content is the same, but the translation subtitle in Arabic is في بيان حد الكفاية والإسراف, and in English it has been translated into wealth is like medicine. At any rate, we read the content. هذا الذي ذكرته تقريب. What we have mentioned is an approximation. Increasing for or decreasing it is possible according to the endeavor of some people and in some states. However, you should believe absolutely that wealth is like medicine. A specific dosage of it is what benefits. Overdosing kills, and getting close to an overdose will cause one to be ill, though it does not kill. So be careful and take only a little and avoid overdosing on luxury, for it is certainly a great danger. There's only a small element of difficulty in having less for a few days. It is not hard on a prudent person to deprive himself for the sake of a feast in paradise, due to his knowledge that the degree of future pleasure is commensurate to the degree of hunger in the present. And there's a message there, which is really any today famous psychologist would say this publicly, though it is known to all of them practically. In order for you to change from one habit to the other, Imam Ghazali says a few days, like you persist on change, on the new habit, the new trait that you would like to achieve, to internalize, to inculcate in your psyche, you only need few days. So there was a case of a young man from the Gaza Strip who was injured, and he got morphine, and he got addicted to it, and he realized that ultimately the way out of this is to literally persevere through the pain of changing from dependence on substance, as we call it today, to be clean. Like, he knew that he should do it, that the solution is internal. I mean, of course, I don't know whether in Gaza there is any center for rehabilitation, probably a luxury that they cannot afford. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assist them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heal them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create a path to freedom that is both will fulfill justice, not relative justice, at the same time a peaceful path. I know this is almost impossible in the light of what we are saying, seeing, but nevertheless, we make a dua, inshallah. So few days, that's really what is needed. وليس في التقليل. But despite that, the talk here is about don't indulge, don't spoil. And if you have been spoiled, you don't have to spoil your children. Comfort is okay. The problem with too much comfort through and through is that if they are hit by calamity, they might not be able to tolerate, to survive, to خشوشنوا فإن النعم لا تدوم. Just rough it a little bit, because this comfort is not really it cannot be sustained. The definition of stinginess في بيان حد البخل. Perhaps you desire to know the definition of stinginess, for an individual may doubt as to whether or not he is stingy, and people differ about it. Like, how do you measure stinginess? Imam Al-Ghazali says, know that the definition of stinginess is to prevent what the revealed law or public respectability obligates. Public respectability, the law is the law, Shara. Public respectability. Al-Muru'a, maybe we talk about magnanimity, maybe we talk about chivalry, really. Because they talk about Muru'a, chivalry, that it has been kind of killed, and that's really very sad. And what is next is it does help understanding Imam Al-Ghazali's position. He says, do not think that someone who submits to his wife or his relative what the judge has dictated, but is uptight about giving a morsel beyond this, is not stingy. Okay. If you are forced to give, that's not generosity. If one has the original position to start with is a position of stinginess, giving that much. So if a woman goes to the wife goes to the judge and says that my husband does not give me, and the judge orders him to give her a certain amount of money for her to, as we say today, to buy food, to pay the bills, and all these things, he is not a generous person because the order of the judge. This reminds me of an event. It took place at the International Islamic University in Malaysia at King Faisal Hall, and Roger Garudi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept him and be merciful to him and forgive him. A leftist French intellectual who became Muslim, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and that's beautiful. But when he gave that lecture, a Malay woman stood, a Malaysian woman stood, and there's a just slight difference. Malaysian is the citizenship, because there is like a small also Muslim Indian community, Chinese Muslims, also few Chinese Muslims, expatriates. So someone, at least a woman, stood, and she asked him after the end of the lecture. She said, if a brother and sister inherit, like their father passes away and she is poor and her brother is rich, how does he divide inheritance? And the bottom line is that he said he would give her more than her share in inheritance. And that's not the way to go about it. In my mind, I did make a public comment immediately after he said what he said, rahimahullah. In the Shara, she gets her inheritance, but her brother is obligated to, if he's capable, he's obligated to to give her money to spend for her. Who said that in Islam the male is only obligated towards his own children, or to his wife and children only? And if you think about it from a Sharia point of view, your sister is closer to you. A wife, you might divorce her one day. You might. I hope not. Okay, but your sister is, is your sister. I mean, this is why, it's good really to stick to the Sharia and just think about the whether there are other positions. But this is really a case where the judge, and this is really an advice to Muslims, new Muslims, and Muslims who have been here for a long time, Muslims. If you are not a scholar, don't venture into giving a fatwa. If you are a new Muslim, wait. If you are a Muslim scholar even, and you go to new land, you don't understand the context yet. Like, for example, somebody who has been educated in Saudi Arabia or in Egypt or in Jordan or in Malaysia or Indonesia, and either you immigrate and you, whatever is the case, you end up, let's say, in the United States. Don't jump on the wagon and start issuing fatwa without understanding the new context in which you live. Spend some time, okay? Spend some time, understand the new reality, and because the judgment is rooted in understanding the reality, the context. At any rate, so what Imam Al-Ghazali says here: do not think that someone who submits to his wife or his relative what the judge has dictated, but is uptight about giving a morsel beyond this, is not stingy. Do not think either that someone who returns a piece of bread or meat to the baker or butcher because of a slight deficiency is not stingy, even if he has a right to do so legally speaking. For the meaning of the revealed law in regards to these matters is to end the disputes of stingy people over an amount that the stingy person can bear. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَسْأَلْكُمُوهَا فَيُحْفِكُمْ تَبْخَلُوا. If he were to ask you for it and press you, you would be stingy. And this is really an amazing thing about human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sustains you, provides for you. He gives you of course, it doesn't mean that you lay down on your sofa and you just hope that wealth come through the ceiling, you know, a la Santa style through the chimney. It doesn't work, really. It doesn't work like this. You need to strive, but rest assured that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allotted certain rizq for you. So 100% of your wealth is God given. Yes, you try, alhamdulillah. You put effort, alhamdulillah. That's what you should do. And then when you are asked, when you have that wealth, and it's really more than a lunar year, and it's plenty of wealth, and you are asked to pay 2.5% of that wealth to the needy, and you refrain, or your heart is aching because of giving this money, subhanallah. He gives you 100% and you are stingy about 2.5%. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for everyone, alhamdulillah. Indeed, it is necessary to comply with the respectability al-muru'ah, we said, and refute those who would speak ill, and that differs according to the differences of people and amount of wealth. If someone has wealth and is able to prevent his disparagement and censor by a poet with a small amount, yet does not do it, then he is stingy, even if it was not obligatory upon him. The Prophet ﷺ said, whatever a person protects his honor with is charity. And this is part of a hadith, if, like in Al-Bukhari, it is mentioned. There are several traditions mentioned under the title Kul Ma'ruf, which is a hadith anyhow. Bab Kul Ma'ruf Sadaqa. It is a hadith in Bukhari, Kul Ma'ruf Sadaqa. And then a longer hadith is mentioned. The Arabic version, Imam Al-Ghazali says, ما وقى المرء به عرضه فهو له صدقة. Part of a longer hadith. And at any rate, the charity is not only monetized. You smile in the face of your brother. It is sadaqah, and this is why kul ma'ruf, every good deed is sadaqah. So it's not only money, but you don't say I will smile in the face of my brothers, and that should be enough. That I would not pay money to the needy. That's in fact, you are not doing a favor. It's an obligation. It's the right of the poor. To verify, wealth was created for a benefit and is possessed for that sake. There's also a benefit in spending it. Whenever the benefit of spending appears to be greater than the benefit of holding, yet it is difficult for a person to spend, then he is a stingy person who loves wealth. Wealth should not be loved for itself, but rather for its benefit. Therefore, it should be directed to the strongest of its benefits. Preservation of public respectability, muru'ah, really, is better and stronger than indulging in much eating, for example. Stinginess and love of wealth could lead a person to being ignorant of the strongest and most appropriate of two benefits. This is the utmost stinginess. If he knows, yet spending is still difficult on him, then he is also stingy, even if he spends affectedly. Rather, a person frees himself from stinginess only when spending wealth on what when it should be spent on rationally and legally, that's in brackets, does not weigh heavily on him. As for the level of liberal generosity, only spending in excess of both legal obligation and public security attains it. Liberal generosity, sakha, like really giving left and right. Perhaps you would like to understand the treatment of stinginess. Know that its remedy is a mixture composed of knowledge and practice. And I love when Imam Al-Ghazali says, أن دواءه معجون. Almost like literally what the word paste of knowledge and practice. As for knowledge, it is that you know the destruction in store for the stingy person in the afterlife and the censor connected to him in the world. It is also for you to know that wealth, assuming that it remains, does not follow you to your grave. Wealth is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He enables one to possess it in order to use it for important matters. It is also for you to know that being spoken well of and receiving a reward in the afterlife is more delightful than withholding wealth for the sake of indulging in desires. Merely fulfilling desires is the nature of dumb beasts, while the former is the nature of rational people. If a person holds on to wealth for the sake of leaving it for his child, then it is as if he leaves him in goodness only to push himself forward to his Lord with evil. This is the essence of ignorance. How is this so? If this child is righteous, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for him. If his child is righteous, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for him. And this reminds me about the righteous child, righteous parents and righteous children also. When a person dies, one of the three things that continue to generate, good deeds for him in albeit, it's, for example, ongoing charity, like you donate to building a hospital, for example, ongoing charity, or you leave behind a beneficial science. That's ongoing charity. I would love to speak about the science that is not beneficial, like probably many things in the when we talk about weapons of mass destruction, it is sick. And the third source of that could still bring you hasanat, good deeds after your death, is a good child, a walad salih yad'u lah. In fact, if you think about it, if the child is not good, he will neither make dua for himself nor for you, herself, of course. And this is something that people should pay attention to. Raise good children, inshallah. Ya Rab, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our children, protect us, forgive us, and so that we may also, that our good life, inshallah, will be a testimony. The lisan al-hal ولسان المقال. But we need both. But lisan al-hal is your state of being sends a message all the time, and your tongue will only send a message when you open it with something good. So it's the good child, inshallah. If his child is righteous, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for him. If he's a sinner, then he relies upon wealth to commit acts of disobedience. And the parent is the cause of the child's empowerment to do them. Thus, he is harmed while another indulges. As for practice, it is that a person forces himself to spend and does not cease to do so until it becomes a habit for him. Among a person's loopholes regarding this is that he should be dubbed by expectation of a good name and anticipation of recompense until he desires to spend. Therefore, he graduates to subduing these qualities. Alhamdulillah, we are done with the fifth, meaning the 25th, really, principle in this context. And inshallah, we'll move to the sixth in the next session. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.